Do you know that more than 90% of the world's data was generated just in the last decade? This brings about our modern age of big data, a comprehensive field which encompasses various tools, techniques, and frameworks in managing and using large datasets for generating analytical insights. More specifically, the term big data refers to collections of large datasets characterized by high volume, velocity, and variety that is growing over time, that cannot be processed using traditional computing capacities and methods. More specifically, the term big data refers to collections of large datasets characterized by high volume, velocity, and variety that is growing over time, that cannot be processed using traditional computing capacities and methods. Here are some trends relating the use of big data analytics in the banking and financial industry. In the space of wealth management, robo-advisors have enabled banks and fintechs to provide automated, algorithm-driven financial planning services with minimal to no human supervision. Big data-driven goals-based, team-based, and risk-based strategies can now be executed seamlessly, facilitating activities such as portfolio rebalancing, dollar cost averaging, together with active monitoring. In the space of digital retail banking, big data capabilities such as facial recognition have enabled banks and fintechs to onboard customers without face-to-face interaction, thereby consolidating the end-to-end engagement journey in a single app. In the space of inclusive banking and risk management, which aims to make banking services more accessible to the unbanked population and small businesses with little or no credit history, big data can help overcome the traditional constraints of relying on bank statements and transactions to assess creditworthiness using machine learning coupled with alternative datasets. In the space of fraud detection, transaction monitoring has traditionally been a manual-intensive process where investigators dedicate much time and effort in managing alerts and suspicious activities. Leveraging big data and machine learning, the industry is empowered to analyze millions of data points and detect complex fraudulent transactions within seconds. Last but not least, in the area of cybersecurity, deep learning and real-time big data analytics have also helped to detect threats, fix vulnerabilities, and mitigate consequences of cyber breaches. While there are many good opportunities that big data offers, it would be relevant to understand the externalities that comes along with it, so that we can better leverage its benefits while managing the risks. Generally speaking, the risk of big data can be classified into four key areas, namely security, ethics, deliberate misuse, and unintentional use of bad analytics and data. In the area of security risk, data theft is of an increasing concern in the industry, and such compromises are getting extensive and more detrimental. In fact, some of the largest data breaches of all time concerning reputable global firms took place just within the decade. That being said, the larger the data, the greater the interest it presents to bad actors with the skills and tech to steal and profit from it. Related to the area of security is the context of data privacy. In addition to making sure personal data is protected from bad actors, it would be important to ensure that the sensitive personal information is not revealed to unintended parties or misused by data managers and analysts. Inability to align with data privacy and protection regulations can be costly in both monetary and legal terms, depending on the type of data and country of concern. In the area of ethical risk, it is of utmost relevance that we use data in implementing analytical and AI solutions in a responsible manner. Big data empowers companies to develop more refined predictions about the future state, which may potentially lead to more invasive individual profiling. For instance, in the business of credit cards and lending, credit approvals and limits may be biased by the use of certain personal attributes and behaviors. Similarly, in the business of insurance, premiums and surety provisions are typically impacted by customer characteristics and behaviors in assessing the probability of a payout. For example, it is a well-known consideration that involvement in a car accident will cause the insurance premium to be adjusted upwards. It is hence important that we manage ethical risk well by keeping aligned to the principles of fairness, ethics, accountability, and transparency, otherwise known as FIT principles, within the banking and financial industry in Singapore. In the area of deliberate misuse, it should be noted that big data also plays a huge role in the spread of misinformation in recent times. Bad actors may leverage fake news and ads to target selected groups and masses of the population in swaying their ideas, beliefs, and behaviors to attain a bad outcome. Coupled with growing concerns of big data security, deliberate misuse of data may pose an increasing challenge in big data. Last but not least, relating to the area of overcoming bad data and analytics, it would be critical to ensure the use of relevant, accurate, good quality data, as well as the most appropriate analytical techniques in deriving insights for making business decisions. Getting the right people, expertise, incorporating the relevant governance and processes, as well as utilizing the right technology will ensure that the outcomes of big data analytics and machine learning are representative of the factual situation, explainable and well-structured for decision making. As highlighted, an effective and responsible big data implementation is anchored on three pillars, namely people, technology, and process. Firstly, it will be relevant to assemble the appropriate expertise and specialists in delivering quality data-driven solutions to attain the intended outcomes. Many different roles across the job families of business, tech, and data professionals are equally critical in the big data pipeline. In supporting this pipeline, it would also be helpful to assemble a technology platform and a suite of tools to empower the effective and efficient generation of quality insights and outcomes for making responsible and impactful business decisions. From a process angle, it is imperative we have a well-defined set of standard operating procedures and industry best practices to guide our big data and analytical implementations. Our central bank, MAS, has released a set of guidelines known as FIT principles, co-developed in the industry, as well as convened the Veritas Consortium to support financial institutions in adopting these principles. FIT, which stands for Fairness, Ethics, Accountability, and Transparency, provides a useful frame in guiding the ethical practice of big data and AI in the banking and finance industry. At UOB, we share similar values on data ethics and are honored to support the Veritas initiative as a lead consortium member to develop a suite of standards and open source tools for implementing these principles in a verifiable manner. With regard to the principle of fairness, it would be relevant to ensure that the use of data, including personal attributes, and AI does not systematically disadvantage any individual or group, unless these decisions can be justified. The data and models should also be regularly reviewed and validated for accuracy and performance to minimize unintended bias. With regard to the principle of ethics, the use of data and models should be well aligned to corporate values, standards, and code of conduct. Data-driven decisions are to be held to the same ethical standards as human-driven decisions. On the principle of accountability, the use of data and AI-driven decision should be endorsed by an appropriate internal authority. Companies using data-driven capabilities are accountable to both in-house developed and off-the-shelf models. Companies should also proactively raise management and board awareness on the use of data and AI-driven solutions. On external accountability, customers and stakeholders shall be provided with channels to inquire on data-driven decisions that may impact them. On the principle of transparency, data-driven and AI solutions must be explainable and provide interpretable outcomes for responsible decision-making. All in all, while there is quite a couple of pitfalls and guiding principles to look out for, there is no need to be concerned about the use of big data. Businesses are used to assessing risk as well as managing them. And in fact, the benefits of big data far outweigh the risk. In staying competitive and relevant in the modern landscape, it is hence important we take on a progressive mindset in harnessing the power of big data in a responsible manner, while minimizing the associated risks and managing the constraints in an efficient way.